Hello and welcome to this video discussing help and troubleshooting in IT 140. We're going to start with a discussion of the help function, which you can get in interactive mode. We'll then move on to troubleshooting error messages in your scripts, and then finally we'll discuss asking for help and support. So let's jump right into Codio's personal playground. Alright, here we are in the personal playground. Hopefully you're familiar with this from the previous few videos. We're going to start, we're going to go in interactive mode. So we need to start by going to Tools and Terminal, and then we need to type Python 3 to start that interactive session. And now we see the Python shell prompt right here. There's 3 greater than symbols, and that lets us know that we're ready to interact with the interpreter. So let's type in help, parentheses, it's a function, and in quotes we're going to put whatever it is, whatever we're looking for help with. So let's say we're looking for help with input. I've seen that we use input in one of these assignments. I'm not exactly sure what it does, so I'm going to type that in and hit enter. And now I have some nice information on input. Some of this is perhaps beyond the scope of this course. It's certainly for the first few weeks here, but there's some really great information here regarding input. It tells me that what I put in here is a prompt, such as enter your name, enter your age, and then it's going to read back a string. So I'm going to say enter your age, and it's going to say someone type 26, and it'll return 26 again as a string. You'll also notice that there's this EOF end of file error. So if you see that in your code, perhaps it has something to do with this input function. So that's a little bit about how you use the help function. Let's hit Q to quit, and then we're still in the interpreter. So let's quit here. Let's quit, and then I'm going to use clear from the terminal, the command line here, and hit enter. That's going to clear everything, so I have a nice fresh space here. And now we're going to talk a little bit about troubleshooting error messages. We're going to do that from the view of our script here. So let's open this test.py file. And it's just a few quick lines of code. X gets 5, Y gets 7, Z gets X plus Y, so 5 plus 7 is 12. So Z is 12 in this case. And then we're going to print hello world, as we've done before, and we're going to print Z times 2. Well, if Z was 12, then Z times 2 is 24. So that's what we should expect. It's always good to go through your lines of code and say, what does each thing do? So these shouldn't print anything, and then we should print out hello world, the string, and then print Z times 2, which we said was 24. So that's what we should expect. So let's try it. Python 3, the name of our file, test.py. And we get exactly what we expected, which is great. Although sometimes you won't. For instance, let's say, what if we did, what if we forgot that quote right there? And let's say we run it now. Oh, and now I have some syntax error, end of line while scanning string literal. I might not know exactly what that means. That's okay. But syntax error, I've typed something in wrong here, and it's saying line 5. So and the way to approach troubleshooting is, and you might see it right away, say, oh, I just forgot that. That's an easy one to fix. But what you would like to do is you like to start wherever the error is pointing to, in this case line 5, and then work your way up. So it might not actually be in line 5. We'll see that in a second. But if I look at line 5, that's the first place I look, and I say, okay, that's my issue. Now, if instead I forgot a parenthesis, and let's try this one, see what error we get now. Invalid error, invalid syntax error. And it's pointing me to line 6. So I see print Z times 2, that looks fine. So let me start line 6, and I don't see anything there, so that looks good. So then I come up to the next line and say, oh, you know what? The issue was that I never closed this parenthesis here. So now, if I run it again, it should execute correctly. So the way to really approach errors, again, to avoid them, and you can't avoid them entirely, but is to walk through your line of code and say what does each line do, and then when you get an error, start where where it tells you the error is, so in this case line 6, and start in line 6 and work your way up until you find something. And there will be times where it's very difficult to spot your error. Perhaps it's a logical error, perhaps it's something else that's difficult for you to find. So the question is, how do you get help here? So, it's really valuable to add comments, which you can do the pound sign. You can write comment here. So you would want to write a comment obviously more specific in that than you might want to write here prints out z times 2. And this is a simple example, so the comments are a little bit more simplistic, but by adding comments here, it explains your logic and your reasoning, just like walking through your program does. And then if you're stuck and you need help, and let's say you're reaching out to your instructor for help with this one, and can't quite figure out what it is, if they can go in and open your test, you can say, hey, I'm struggling with the test.py file, this is the error I'm getting, and I've added some comments to try to explain what I'm trying to do here, which is a good practice anyway. Your instructor can go in and look and kind of read through your comments. Okay, this is what they want this to do, this is what they want this to do, and can really make sure that you fully understand what's happening, what the issue is, and if there's some incorrect reasoning there, that they can support that. So great feature, the personal playground, because you can add those comments and your instructor can jump right in and take a look. You just have to let them know which file to look at. In this video, we discussed the help function in interactive mode. We also looked at some error messages and tried to troubleshoot those and a process for troubleshooting them. And finally, we ended with asking for help. As you're working in this class, please feel free to reach out to your instructor if you have any questions or need any help. Best of luck.